Hey Latchkey kids and drive-in mutants, I'm Lady Shasha, Mistress of the Snark, and I just watched the big budget Netflix exclusive Zack Snyder zombie flick called Army of the Dead. This movie has a lot of money, but the writing's on the level of a Sci-Fi Channel original movie. It starts out with some military people transporting something. The convoy vehicle's code name is Mothership, and the military personnel's code names are the Horsemen. What could possibly go wrong? How many Sci-Fi Channel zombie movies have started with a military operation gone wrong that causes a zombie outbreak? Anyway, they mess up by trying to transport the zombie by ground instead of air and end up in a car accident with a couple. That's the setup. Let's get to the scares. There's a fall scare that turns into a jump scare that is pretty much beat for beat copied from American Werewolf in London. Specifically that scene where they were on the moors that they were supposed to stay off of. The director, Zack Snyder, also was the director of photography, which he's very good at. He's a very good cinematographer. Writing, not so much. This team goes into a, what would you call it? Like a zombie riddled location, and they have no body armor on. So you learn nothing from Train to Busan. Everybody just all out with their arms exposed. Really. Speaking of being prepared for war, one character had hoop earrings on. Who goes into battle with hoop earrings on? Although she did end up being the most badass person there. It was the girl with the red bandana. She ended up being so badass that I was actually mad at what happened to her. I think she was meant to remind you of Vasquez from Aliens. I kind of like the YouTuber zombie killer character named Guzman, because I really feel like if there was a zombie outbreak, there would be someone like that on YouTube. Why is Kate? That added family melodrama between her and her dad. This is a perfect example of show don't tell. I'm gonna bring it up again, but I don't care. In Train to Busan, we understood the dynamic between the father and the daughter because it was shown to us in their setup at the very beginning of the movie. Especially him giving her a birthday gift, and it's the same thing that he's already gotten her 2 other times. That's a great way of showing their dynamic without bringing the movie to a complete stop to have this forced in scene. Anyways, back to the movie. They had all these zombies at the zombie lair and this queen zombie goddess lady. I almost expected them to break out into like a Thriller dance because it was so many zombies. I do love the creature design of the zombie queen and the acting, the physical acting. I think they hired a professional dancer to play her, but I like that character the best. And I like the zombie tiger. I like the way it played with its food, kind of the way some cats do when they're playing with a mouse or a garden snake or something. But this movie made me root for the zombies. I mean, I for real was rooting for the zombie king on his zombie horse. Because this team kept on stopping to talk about their feelings. That moment between Maria and Scott, nobody has time for this. Also, remember Kate? Her character sucks so bad. Even more so than Tanaka's heel guy. Or the blonde French woman who did almost nothing. She wasn't even badass like the girl with the hoop earrings. This movie is so stupid. And right now I'm gonna do the spoiler alert part because there's elements of this movie that are so stupid that I have to talk about them, and it's spoilers. I will say one good thing about this movie. The action sequences were okay and the gore looked great, especially when you're combining practical effects with CGI. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. This movie shows off its big budget in planning with that, so I can give it a positive feedback on the gore and the action sequences. But this movie wants us to believe that Batista Scott character needed all this tactical training and all this weaponry and all these rounds of ammunition to get through the city, but his daughter, with none of the training, none of the weaponry, can get through that same city with just one handgun that maybe has 17 shots in it at the most. And here's the major spoiler. The only survivor is annoying ass Kate, or Katie, whatever the hell her name was. Technically, Omari survived as well. Also, there's a scene with a zombie head that kind of reminded me of Return of the Living Dead 2. Anyway, I'm glad that this was on Netflix and I didn't pay to see this because I would be pissed if I paid to see this in a movie theater. Especially being that it's essentially a big budget ripoff of Dead Heist. Speaking of which, I'll be back in a moment to talk to you about Dead Heist. Welcome back. As I watched Army of the Dead, I could not help but think about Dead Heist. Shout out to the horror miser Monty G because he also mentioned this in his review of Army of the Dead. Check out his channel. He also does very fun, intelligent horror movie reviews. Lucky for us, Dead Heist is available on Tubi for us to rewatch. So, to recap Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder took the plot from Alien, borrowed scenes from American Werewolf in London, and then totally ripped off the plot from Dead Heist. And because of that, I decided to rewatch Dead Heist and review it. Dead Heist starts with a couple driving in a car, and the woman gets snatched out of the window by some type of zombie or ghoul. They aren't necessarily called zombies in Dead Heist, but whatever they are seems to be affected by the cycle of the moon. But yet they're not called werewolves either in this movie. And I don't know why Dead Heist has TV show opening credits, but I'm not mad at it. For those that don't know, Dead Heist stars a bunch of rappers like Bone Crusher, E40, and Big Daddy Kane. I enjoyed Bone Crusher's acting the most out of the actors that were rappers in this cast. This also stars a bunch of random guys, and one of them reminds me of Anthony Fantano, the Needle Drop, but he acts more like a budget Vin Diesel. I say that jokingly because I think this actor actually has a more handsome face than Vin Diesel, in my opinion. So the premise is that the Needle Drop wants out of this life, but Big Man Hustle says he has to do one more job before he can cut him loose. Apparently he owes a debt to Big Man Hustle, and he does these jobs to repay his debt. Then there's Yellow Headband Dude, we'll call him Echo because he has on an Echo jacket. This movie's like a time capsule of early 2000s fashion. You could do a drinking game, like take a sip every time you see Echo, Averex. I'm not sure if they had a Nietzsche, but I'm quite sure I might have blinked and missed that somebody had a Nietzsche on and some lugs boots. Anyways, his uncle tells him about a bank that he could rob, so he meets up with his associates to try to set this whole thing up. And they were drinking crunk juice. Is that still a thing? Does that still exist? Because I do remember it. I remember that. I know Rap Snacks are still around, but crunk juice, I don't know if that's still around. Anyway, who plans a bank heist in a public restaurant? Like, they were sitting talking, they weren't even whispering, they were talking at a loud level in the restaurant planning their bank heist. They decided to go see Big Man Hustle again to try to get some guns because they figured we're gonna need some artillery if we're gonna pull off this heist. And of course he wants in on the action, so he wants a percentage of whatever they rob from the bank. Next thing they know, Needle Drop has joined their heist on the behalf of what's his name? Big Man Hustle. I know this sounds like I'm a crackhead at the bus stop making up this story, but this is an actual movie. So where was I? Big Man Hustle sent Needle Drop over to help them with their heist and to make sure he gets his cut of the money, which they're not too happy about, but they go along with it. Somehow Needle Drop meets Big Daddy Kane at a Army Navy store, and it's Big Daddy Kane that tells him about the creatures. At this point, he doesn't believe him and goes on about his business. So let's recap. We have a group of people who are doing a heist involving robbing a vault, a nefarious rich guy who plants one of his employees in the group, and zombie vampire creatures that attack them during the heist. One similarity is happenstance. The second similarity is coincidence. A third is a pattern. Somebody tell the Couch Tomato to make a video about how Army of the Dead and Dead Heist are the same movie. Anyway, the heist goes awry and they're stuck inside the bank until sundown, which is when the creatures come out. The rest of the movie is spent showing them dealing with the zombie, vampire, mutant creatures that maybe are zombies and maybe not zombies. I don't know what they are. It's never said what they are. We'll just call them creatures. The acting is mediocre. The script is awful, which of course contributes to the acting. The creatures are just alright. The action's just alright. The actors that played the mutant vampire zombie creatures did a really good job with what they had to do. I thought that they were integral to making this movie fun. There's also some pretty decent gore. Despite all these things being bad, I still enjoyed Dead Heist. I don't know why I enjoyed Dead Heist. Like I said, the writing's bad, the acting's bad, but it's still an enjoyable movie. I was never bored with it. I had fun watching it and I had fun rewatching it. Also, one of the characters used body armor. And we think, did Train to Busan get their idea of using the body armor? Having this character use the body armor from Dead Heist? It's a possibility. Have you seen Army of the Dead or Dead Heist? What did you think of them? Did you catch any other similarities that I missed? Let me know in the comments. But like I always say, don't take my word for it. Watch it for yourself. Just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it, and just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. See you later. Hey, did you know that I work for tips now? You could hit me up on Venmo or Cash App. While I'm happy to receive the type of coin that jingles, I'd love to receive the type that folds. Somebody show these people where the subscribe button is. They don't know what they're doing.